Hi, everyone, and welcome to another coffee chat. I'm your host, Rashida, and today's session is a special one. A few months ago, when we launched Kedro 1.0, we promised you some exciting GenAI integrations, and they are finally here. Joining us today is Elena, who leads the GenAI workstream in Kedro, and she will show us how Kedro and LangGraph combine to build a structured, responsible, and a truly agentic workflow. In this edition of Coffee Chat, you'll see a live demo of a real world use case. Now, a quick word on the format. We'll spend the first 20 minutes on the demo, something useful and very cool, and then open it up for 10 minutes of Q&A. So feel free to ask us anything. And just to let you know, these sessions are public. So if you have got friends or teammates who love this stuff, please tell them to join us on YouTube or LinkedIn. And if you want to follow up after the stream, join us on our Kedro Slack community and we would love to chat with you there. Now, there are two rules of this coffee chat. There's no such thing as a silly questions, and we mean that. And if the demo goes wrong, as it always happens, please clap and send your positive energy to our presenter, Elena. Now, I'll hand this coffee chat over to Elena.
Rashida, thank you very much for the intro. Usually I am here, the one who hosts, but today I'm going to present. So yeah, let's move forward. I'll start from like quick intro of what you're going to see here and follow with the demo of how it's running and how the project integrates with some external tools as well to simplify your GenAI work, debugging, and visibility. So we've been talking a lot about GenAI and about how Kedro can be helpful building the projects. And what we found out after talking with different users from the open source, from inside the firm, that everyone struggles with the same thing, is that when they build the GenAI projects, the prototypes, everything works well, but then they want to go to the production and the project becomes more complex. They still need some levels of persistence. That's why we want to bring like Kedro best practices in the GenAI project and showcase what's already possible to do with Kedro to achieve your goals. Building some agentic workflow is just simple GenAI projects, and at the same time learn for ourselves what gaps do we have and how to simplify the work for our users and also get some of their feedback. So in order to move forward with this, we've created like a boilerplate project with the real world use case, which does customer support automation with the knowledge base integration. In other words, it's actually quite simple. It's just a project that uses LangGraph in Kedro, and it has two agents implemented. The first one, intent detection. It classifies the queries that been asked by users, and the other one generates the response based on this intent plus the retrieved information from the database. So we want to speak about this project and showcase that the Kedro role here is to manage the data access, manage credentials, conversational history, sessions, and logs. So basically provide all necessary things around the GenAI project, while the LangGraph orchestrates the workflows, routing between intent detection, verification tools, which basically means does the GenAI part. So the purpose here is just to showcase how to structure this project, how to do knowledge based retrieval, dynamic tool selection, how to handle credentials securely, and how to integrate with other open source tools for prompts management and observability. So going to the use case itself. This is how it looks like in a high level. You have, as I mentioned, you have two different agents. They are purple on this diagram, intent detection agent and response generation agent. Inside the node itself, they are LangGraph graphs. And the rest of the pipeline is managed by Kedro as usual. where user asks the question. Kedro cares about creating the session, retrieving the user context, managing agent's memory, and passing all this information down the pipeline, as well as logging the conversation and all the decisions made by the language model. At the same time, we integrate with open source tools like LangFuse and OPIC to use the beta UI for observability and tracing. And since they become more common solutions in the open source community, we also want to stay connected with them. So this is the project structure that we'll be looking at, and it looks like the usual Kedro project with a few differences. First of all, we have a separate configuration for our GenAI part where we place configs for language model, prompts, and tracing. We also have credentials in our local folder, which is the usual setup for us. But the difference is that we'll set up the credentials for language models and tracing tools there as well. The data folder now contains the folders for the prompts where we store the prompts. And in our solution, we are able to store them locally and remotely for LangFuse. And the pipelines itself look similar to what we usually have. They're split into two and named with the corresponding agents that are running the business logic. So except of the nodes and pipelines itself, you have the implementation of the agent and for the response generation tools as well, which handles the logic for tool selection. So the rest remains the same. And for like simplicity, we've added a few custom data sets, helping us to deal with prompt management, tracing, and connecting to external tools. So let me quickly explain like how the prompt management is done, and then I'll show you how it looks in action. So in our project, we have two different types of prompts. For intent detection, we use LangFuse prompt. The LangFuse is the open source solution for tracing, prompt management, and evaluation of language models. And for response generation, we use static files that are managed by our implemented LangChain prompt dataset. I'll show it later. It's already in the main branch for datasets, but haven't been released yet, which so you'll see it soon in the release. With these different types of prompt, you can set them up as the usual datasets in your catalog. And depending on which dataset you use, like in this example, this is the LangFuse prompt, you're able to set up how you synchronize it with your local file, whether you prefer the remote policy or local. And in case if this is the open source solution, and you're also able to provide all the credentials. So the other setup is pretty simple because we provide you the project with some existing script to run and spawn the database, which can be used as the example to run everything in this project. And the setup which will be required from you is the credentials, to provide the credentials based on the database you use, OpenAI or other models you're using, and depending on the tracing solution. So let me first show you how it looks through the Kedro Viz, and then we'll run it with you to showcase how the prompt management and tracing works. So this is response generation pipeline and intent generation pipeline in our Kedro Viz. As you see, we have our prompts, split it for language model and tools. Here we can also like preview the prompts that we are using. So it's simpler for us to understand what is going to go into our language model. The same works not just with the LangChain prompts, but with the LangFuse prompts as well. So we have the example of the LangFuse prompt, and we are able to see the previews as well. This is our language model, the data set coming from experimental data set, which you can connect with any provider. In my example, I use OpenAI. And the project is structured so that you have the flow related to the normal data setup and the setup needed for your Gen AI workflow, where you instantiate your prompts, language model, create the context for your agent, and then finally it comes to the node that does the detection. Here you can also, for convenience, for example, can go to the code and see the implementation of the specific agentic node. So let me go through the project and how it looks like in my IDE, and then we're gonna run it. As I mentioned, it comes with the database that you can generate or regenerate with this script from this project. And this is the structure for my database. It has like user session claims and message to log the interactions and conversation between the user and the chatbot, as well as some docs table, which I'm using as my knowledge base. So the project repeats the exact structure that I've just covered through the README of the project itself. And let's just run it in order to better explain what's going on under the hood. In order to run it, you can just open the README and follow the instruction on how to run. After you've done the setup, which is basically the credentials, you create your database. I already have it. And then you are able to run the full pipeline, setting the user ID. In my initial database, I should have 3 users, and they also have some claims messages already logged for the simplicity. So I'll just take this and run it in our terminal. In my example, I also disabled the logs, so we could see just the outputs from the agents. But in the normal setup, you just run them as a usual Kedro pipeline, so you see all the logs as usual. So yeah, we see that the session was started and we are able to enter our question. So I can ask can you show me all our claims? And this is where intent generation agent should analyze your question and come up with the intent. And looking at the log, we'll see the intent classified, the reason why it was so, and then the tool that was called by the response generation agent to get the user claims. It does queries the database to retrieve all the claims. These are the claims that were retrieved, and this all goes as a context to our response generation language model, which is giving us the same this output. Okay, that looks all right. In our messages, we also log all the interactions. Why it's not showing? Okay, maybe I should update it. Okay, sometimes PyCharm does this, but we'll show them through the tracing UI. So what I want to show now is how the integration with the other prompt tracing solutions work. As I mentioned in my catalog, I have the normal setup for the database, our user data, like documents, like how to basically route the data and how to connect to my data sources. And in a GenAI config, I have my language model setup. I have my tool prompts, response prompts, and this LangFuse prompt setup. So basically, the separation of those two worlds. And let's say I want to modify some of my prompt and see how it's reflected on the UI. I go to my intent prompt LangFuse JSON and modify it like that. For example, you're helpful. Insurance support assistant, I'll save it. And I just run my project again to see what's going to happen. Here I ask some other question like how can I create a new claim? And this time this intent was classified as general question here. And my tool in another tool was called like lookup docs. It also went to the database to retrieve these similar documents. Our top 3 documents were like that, and based on them, we get the result. So this is what is happening at the LangFuse site. First of all, I want to show you my prompt. This were my initial prompt, the first one that I had. And then I modified it. It created me the another version of my prompt because the local was different from the remote. And this is what you can do and manage in different formats. You can prefer remote and then, for example, add the new version of prompt manually here, modify it, and consume it through your local, because this is what our LangFuse from dataset does. Another part that I wanted to show you is what we achieve through LangFuse trace dataset. Here is all our tracing, and every run you would see like 2 different interactions, because we have 2 different agents that are logging everything for us. Like this is the actual flow that was our data came through, like the intent and update context. You can click on any and see like the intent detected, the reason. So basically everything that we just saw through the terminal. And it's the same with the response generation agent. We could see like the context, the prompt that went to our graph. We can see like tools that were called and the result that was generated. So the data that were retrieved and everything we got from the database. So it gives you like the visibility of everything you do, not just through the terminal, but also with some nicer UI. And another thing, interesting thing that we have is the chat OpenAI, LangChain prompt dataset. So when I set up my prompt in the response generation for the response generation pipeline, my prompt is just in YAML file or another one in a text file. And it is consumed by the LangChain prompt dataset. And under the hood, it reads the prompt using the underlying YAML dataset. and converts it to the prompt compatible with chat prompt template or prompt template based on what you selected, which also give me the very nice and easy way to be compatible with all the prompts and see them through Kedro Vs, like we do here for a response generation. Like here, and in case you want to have a nicer UI, enable tracing and visibility, you can connect with the length views. So the length chain prompt dataset already exists in the main branch for our datasets and haven't been released yet, but it will go there, and you can explore like how to start using it for your project. And the last bit here is that with what we saw here, you get not only like the boilerplate for your dataset setup or a specific agentic project, but you also get some structure that you can reuse for your own projects. And later on, you can also explore like how we've implemented agents, how we suggest implementing tools to get these ideas for your projects. And this example will be converted to Kedro GenAI Starter soon. So you won't need to access like a separate repo like we had here, but instead you would be able to generate the template with the Kedro new command, as you do now for Spaceflies projects, for example, and get some structure with the underlying data sets with you. So I'll stop here and add Rashida to the stage to see if we have any questions. And yeah, I forgot to say that if you have them, please ask them in the chat.
Thank you so much, Elena, for the amazing demo. Yes, we do have questions in the chat, so let me read out them to you. Anton's question is, can I use it in production? Is there any comparison in terms of performance compared to other tools or bare Python code?
Yes, I can show this question. Thanks for asking. Since we just started working on it, we haven't tried it in a production, but we are currently in touch with the team who is gonna do it soon. Like so, in a month we'll know all the underwater stones that you can get with using this kind of setups. Speaking about the performance, since it's the normal Kedro project, we don't expect any specific slowdowns. Obviously, if you connect with some external tools, sometimes you might see some delays because of the internet connection. This is what we noticed with the length views. But the rest remains the pure Kedro project with just the wrapper on your implementation of your nodes. So there shouldn't be any overheads.
Thanks, Elena.
Okay, I think we have some other questions like
Yes. So we have one question by Hitesh. How can I join the team? I wanted to address that. Kedro is open source. So you are part of the team if you're already a Kedro user. And we love it when we get contributions from outside the McKinsey team. Wonderful contributors already. So please feel free to raise a PR, help us. Uh, we can all work together to make Kedro better. Um, Now we have another question. How by Dimitri? How should I behave if I want to test that solution with different LLMs, OpenAI, Grok, etc.?
Yeah, that's a good question. For that, we have our experimental data set that basically is able to connect to different type of models. Currently, we support these providers, Anthropic, Cohere, and OpenAI. So what you may do if you want to switch to a different provider, which is not supported here, you can see that the implementation of the data set and just which is like really thin because it's the wrapper around the existing APIs of these providers. So you may create your custom data set. Or, for example, if you feel something is missing, you can come to our repo, create the ticket, and we'll be happy to add this data sets for you, because this is what we are also doing now. We try to explore like what our user needs and try to suggest some experimental things to see which one can go into the real ones.
Thanks, Elena. We have another question from Ankita. Could you share the link of this project, maybe in the video description or the comment later? Definitely, we will do that. Thanks, Ankita.
Yes, we'll do that. But just to quickly answer, this project resides in the Kedro Academy. This is our separate repository with all the examples that we have. You might find quite a few interesting things there. And this project is just one of the GenAI projects that we have. There is another one called Batch Agent, and it focuses more on the batch processing use case rather than the use case where you have the interaction loop with the user. I would recommend going there as well. But yeah, we'll update the description or share all the links in the comments.
Are there any more questions? I had a question. Uh,
Okay.
you mentioned LangFuse datasets. When do we plan to release them? What's in the roadmap next? How can people start using them?
Yeah, so as I said, what we're working now is to codify all these examples into the actual things that you can easily reuse, not necessarily with the project example that I showed, but in your project as well. And the length chain from dataset is already there, and those length fuse integration datasets are under the development. So we expect like probably in the next few weeks they'll be merged, and in the next release you'll have them all. Another thing is that we have a plan to integrate not just with the LangFuse, because another popular open source framework which does the same thing is called OPIC from Comet. And we also, in our project, we already have like an example of how to integrate with OPIC, but it's also going to go into a separate experimental data set that you'll be able to use separately. So I would say like in the next month, we plan to release a few data sets mentioned in this demo.
That's very exciting. Let's give it a couple of minutes if there are any more questions. Um, Feel free to drop your questions in the chat, or else also message us later on Kedro Slack.
And feel free to also try out the things and give us your feedback and leave the comments through Slack, or maybe commenting in the tickets in case like you see that something is working not as you expect, or you want to have some extra features, because the goal of this work is to make sure we are simplifying your work with the GenAI projects as well.
Definitely.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Let's wrap up now. And just want to say that GenAI is a really new and exciting area for us. And we would love your support, as Elena said already. If you could help make Kedro work even better with GenAI, please let us know. Please share your feedback, ideas, and example. You can reach us out. You can reach out to us on GitHub or Slack, and let us know what you want like us to present in our next coffee chat.
Yeah,
Until
thank you. Thank you very much. It was nice to have you all, and have a nice Friday. Bye.
bye.